fine. And I always seem to have a little bit of a issue, but so far it now should be okay. I hope all you guys are doing fine. I hope you can hear me well. And if you give me 1 second, let me just see here few things. Apologize for the delay. Okay, guys, now I think everything is now fine. Let me see final things. Okay, guys, so bear with me. Have 30 seconds of patience. That would be highly appreciated. So thank you very much for all your time. Okay, now things should be better. Let me know if you guys can hear me well. Don't forget, as you come in, drop that like and subscribe. That is great for the channel, so I thank in advance for your support. So, been having quite the exciting weeks. I would like to start with something that came out yesterday that I mentioned, which was, of course, AMC results. Again, they had supposedly the best quarter in history, and the company is barely profitable and barely had positive cash flow. I think it had positive cash flow like $8 million. And I do think that that is not enough if you are basically, coming out of your best quarter in history. How can you be struggling so much? It makes very little sense, right? So I think part of that and part of the announced share offering by Adam Aron, surprise, surprise, who could have predicted it? The stock has tanked quite aggressively. I will do a little bit more analysis on that one for all the apes that still follow me. And fortunately, what I've been saying about AMC, I had a lot of fighting back and a lot of people getting upset at me. But I think eventually they recognized that actually everything that I said ended up turning out to be true. Unfortunately, because I take no pleasure of people getting destroyed, doesn't make me feel any better. So what did I say for this week, for the overall market? That I would expect somewhat of a pullback, or at least some consolidation, so no big breakouts to the upside. We've been basically flat over these past few days, a little bit up. But today we went down after the comments of Powell, basically where he hints that we can see higher rates in the future if inflation is not sufficiently tamed. Of course, bonds tanked, and as bonds tank, it takes the rest of the market with it, which exactly what happened. So once again, it gets proven that the bond market basically directs and guides the stock market, at least, and it doesn't mean, for example, that bonds need to go up together with stocks like this, but bonds need to be at least stable. So if you have big movements, 2% in the bond market is a big movement, you immediately that spreads over into stocks. Now, I think it's bluff. I think the Fed is completely done with raising interest rates. I think actually, and I have a bit of an unpopular opinion here, but I do think that the higher rates are worsening the problem of inflation because it's an extra cost of the companies, which is the cost of debt. And what they do is they pass it on to people like you and me, which actually leads then to higher inflation. So if they would actually cut rates, that would probably have a deflationary effect. But there's this notion that by cutting rates you create inflation, despite Japan doing it for 30 years without success. But these guys are not known for being the most brilliant of people. By the way, guys, if you do have a few questions for me, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer any questions that you guys may have. Now, as I mentioned, the only thing that we've done after all the announcements on that very ugly closing on the Friday, the 27th of October, is that I thought we were just testing the 200-day moving average on the S&P and the 200-week moving average on the Nasdaq, and pretty much we went straight up from there. Right at the time, and this is the important part, right? I said that. Peter Schiff said the opposite. Peter Schiff said stocks will continue to go down. Maybe you're going to have a Black Monday, and commodities, particularly gold and oil, will go through the roof. This is what he said. I said, as you know, by the end of September, we should see a top in oil. We had it. And I did say, no, I do think stocks will actually go up and recover the channel. So once again, he predicted the collapse of stocks. We had the longest positive run in the last 2 years. So it's almost 2024. We had the longest positive day streak after Peter Schiff predicted the collapse in stocks. And basically commodities crashed, all of them, because they are feeling what I said in the past few weeks, which is recession in 2024. So once again, this is just to show you that this, unfortunately, you see, but he will get much more likes than me, he will get much more followers than me, he will get all of this, despite the fact that he's consistently wrong pretty much about everything. And unfortunately, on YouTube, you get rewarded for being wrong almost all the time. By the way, it's just a funny thing, and I would like to thank you all, guys, for having subscribed and liked my videos, because actually my retirement video got quite the big views. I mean, big views from what I used to in the channel, of course, and a lot of subscribers came from that video. And I mean, I understand, look, it was a bit clickbait. I mean, but this is the world of YouTube. This is what people want to see. There's a lot of clickbait. But the idea was actually quite serious in the sense that, okay, how will I prepare for the upcoming, if everything goes well, if all my, if the expectations are met in terms of returns on crypto, that I could then retire. And I basically provided you guys, all of you, with what I think is going to be my dream scenario. Some people like it, some people don't. There was a comment, I found it quite funny, which is, oh my God, this guy really doesn't want to pay taxes. Say, I don't. I mean, I'm a libertarian, right? So I think, you know, we should have minimal government for a couple of things, such as protection, border control, and defense. And if we cannot do that well, then forget about doing anything else, because that's the first thing that the government should do. Governments should not be involved in my opinion, in everything, like unfortunately they are today, with varying degrees. So yes, I actively will try my best to pay as little tax as possible, but that's me. You don't need to agree with me. If you want to pay a lot of taxes, by all means, you can even send the checks to the IRS. They will be very happy. So it's really up to you to decide what you think is best. Now, where are we going from here with, to conclude here a bit on the stock market, where are we going to? I would say we keep on track towards a new all-time high by Q1 2024 on the S&P, Dow Jones, and Nasdaq 100. That is my expectation. I do think November and December will be positive months. I think we'll be climbing the wall of worry here a little bit. I would be very surprised if we have another big weeks like the one that we just had, you know, with 9 positive days in a row. I mean, anything is possible, right? If you have let's say, if you have some real peace talks across the two conflicts, one in Eastern Europe, the other one in the Middle East, if we really have peace, concrete, positive peace talks, then yes, then we can really push it higher. However, I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think that's very likely. So I would be quite surprised if that would be the case. But indeed, there's always positive catalysts that can happen and basically lead into big breakups. But I don't think we're gonna have at least I think the one for November I think has been done, but I do think we're gonna have some further upside, but a bit more in a bit more controlled fashion. Just my opinion. What I would like to say as well, yeah, Tesla seems to be getting hit quite harshly over the past weeks and even months. To be honest, I mean Tesla. I always thought Tesla was very overvalued, but things can stay overvalued much longer than you can stay solvent. So when people were shorting it and doing all those kind of crazy stuff, I always thought it was a very bad idea because the stock has a cult following, and the god is called Elon Musk. And whenever you go against this type of cult-like, this type of cult-like, be stocks, cryptos, whatever, you risk to be completely annihilated. And that's why I actually think shorting is quite stupid, in my opinion. And I always like to give one example, because people try again, and we will be there, and I will be mentioning this also again. Also, because today crypto did very well, but in any case, let's go to exactly what I mean. If you had bought Bitcoin at a penny and sold it at 69,000, you made 6.9 million fold. You made 690 million%. But if you shorted Bitcoin from 69,000 to 1 penny, you make 100%. So to me, it's completely stupid to try go short stuff, because it's just so, like, for example, PulseX is up 100% in this month. PulseChain is up almost 100%. X is up 120 something percent this month. Don't you get it? If you're short that, you're already destroyed. That's it. You have no chance, and it just makes no sense to me, particularly because these things are denominated in dollars, euros, Swiss francs, you name it. And almost all the time, those things, the denominator of that equation, is losing value almost every year, which means that for the whole thing to drop, the stock or the crypto needs to drop more than the value that is being lost in the currency. So, I mean, it's just what it is. People get enticed to do this leverage trading, day trading, short stocks. I mean, by all means, I cannot tell you what to do. So if you think that's great, good luck. I wish you all the best. But, I mean, I don't know how many more times you need to see people getting wrecked and completely destroyed until they finally figure it out. Hey, Bryce. Hey, nice. Sorry. Hey, thank you for all the content you've been producing last few months. Congrats on 700 subs. Yeah, no, thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for the nice comment, and I would like to say thank you very much for all of you. I was, between 670 and 690 for what it seemed to be weeks and weeks and weeks. But I did produce that video that actually attracted a lot of attention. So I jumped to 724 subscribers, I think. 725. So now I'm pointing at the 750. You guys know how I am, right? Get these big 50 targets. And no, guys, thank you very much. I mean, the channel has been, to be honest, I created the channel in June, and it has been nothing but surprising, the level of support. I mean, I think I checked my like-dislike ratio, and my like is like 95+%. I mean, it's quite impressive. And the comments are, 99 out of 100, very respectful and nice. So, of course, there's always this guy and that guy that comes up with, look, there's nothing you can do in the internet. I could make a video of me petting a puppy, and somebody's going to hate on it. And somebody's going to say, oh my God, this is terrible, but it is what it is. So, but in any case, the channel has been growing very well. The experience has been very positive. And I do think people, I think we're growing very organically. I think this is all filled with real people, not bots. I think I've never bought one single view and I will never buy any single view. So actually, I think that the channel is growing organically. And in the beginning, people were a bit suspicious of me, now guy with a mask, etc. But then they see that basically almost everything that I've been saying has been happening. And many times in opposition of what everyone is saying, CNBC, Bloomberg, YouTube, Peter Schiff, Harry Dance, Jim Rickards, Meet Kevins, all of these guys, and I say the complete opposite. I look like a little crazy guy, completely going against the train. And then what I said happens, all of a sudden, and I think people are starting to notice and to appreciate it. And sometimes I do have a bit of unpopular opinions. But, I mean, I've been wrong a few times, but I would say I'd be right much more often than not. By the way, guys, don't forget, as you come in, drop that like, that subscribe if you haven't so, drop that comment, and I will try to respond to the best of my ability. Now, let's go to the meat in the bone. Bitcoin has pumped. We have touched 38,000. We have pulled back from that. Remember what I said? Between 38 and 42, it's going to be a resistance area. There was a last live stream. Somebody asked me, where's going to be the next resistance? I said, I think we're going to have a bit of resistance at 38, but 42,000, very important number. Why? Because on average, not everybody obviously, will become profitable in Bitcoin once again. Because that's been the average price that the majority of people have bought. Then 45,000 is a key number to watch, because by the end of December, max end of January, we need to touch it in order to follow the previous cycle, the Ponzi scheme cycle from China. Not sure if you recall that. By the way, and I need to say this, on that cycle, the one that we've been following, where you had this, the plus token from China, that's the one. If you guys don't know what it is, search it, it's quite interesting. We actually had a big crash after that thing came crashing down, okay? So I do think that if the ETF comes out fairly close to the halvening, and the halvening is always a sell the news event, is always a dumping period. If you don't believe me, just go watch it, just go rewind the tape, check the other cycles, you'll see it. But I think that the launch of the ETF will also be a big sell the news event. So depending a bit by when those things will happen, on the timing of those things, we can actually retrace quite a bit. Talking about, imagine me being at like 45, 44K and going all the way back to 26, where we had the breakout. I think that's a possibility. Now, I will know a bit better once we start having some more clarity. I get the feeling that the Bitcoin ETF, as well as the dropping of the charges against Richard Hart, will both happen most likely in the month of November. At least the SEC approval, I think, will come in November. Of course, every day that goes by is a day more likely for me to be wrong, but in case people have not paid any attention, the SEC is already in discussions and open to set up an ETF with Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So that was one of the catalysts for the rally today. And then once again, a lot of people are short. And if you have these big spikes, you will start seeing short covering. So you will start seeing a lot of people getting annihilated, unfortunately, from their decisions. And this is actually what I've mentioned also before, and I will repeat it again. Don't be surprised to see boring few days or weeks, and all of a sudden, big pump in one single day, and then things start to move quite quickly. And if you're not careful, you get left behind. So this is the type of environment where, in my opinion, being on the sidelines is actually a risky position, because you can have some big push-ups and then you get you miss the boat. It's really simple as that. So yeah, Bitcoin is raising. I think it was also curtailed a little bit from the fact that stocks started to sell off and to be negatively impacted by the Jay Powell comments. I do think we have more space to rally. I do think there's still some resistance ahead, as I've mentioned, but I do see it likely that we will keep on progressing as we are. Now, Ethereum has crossed the $2,000 mark. It's not a big deal. It's more of a psychological barrier, right? We've been underneath 2,000 for a long time. So it's actually good and positive to see us cross the 2,000 mark once again. Ethereum has been one of my favorite. As you know, I do prefer Ethereum to Bitcoin. I do know that a lot of Bitcoiners get very upset when I say this. I just find it more useful, better technology, no security risks like Lightning Network had. But I know, Lightning Network, Bitcoin are different things. I get it. Okay, so please don't destroy me. Oh, I have a question from. Do you think the SEC will drop charges against Richard Hart so soon? So to be honest, that's a pure feeling of mine. Okay, so I don't have any insider info. I don't have any special knowledge about anything. It's just my gut feeling, and I'll tell you why. In case you haven't noticed, the SEC dropped the charges against the XRP founders, which, if you will, are the version of Richard Hart in the XRP community. Okay, billionaires accused of selling unregistered securities, blah, 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 the whole thing. Number two, the reason why the SEC was going after many coins, including the Richard Hart ecosystem, is because they were getting a lot of filings from what is called whistleblowers. Why is that? Because the program for whistleblowers, the remuneration is very attractive. So let's say that you accuse somebody, or that you basically tell the SEC, oh, these guys are scammers and they're running a scam, blah, 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 and you're proven right, and they settle for 10 million, let's say $10 million. The whistleblower can get up to 30% of that. That's $3 million. So, I mean, I think what the SEC does, also based on the accusation that they made against Richard, which half of it makes no sense, is they get the filing, they start looking at projects, and then they look at him, they look at the X website, etc., saying, oh yeah, this looks like a scam, boom, let's go for it, scam. Because they make accusations against him like he has used the sacrifice funds to buy luxury goods. You can actually go on chain. This is on the Ethereum blockchain. You can go to etherscan.io. You can go to the sacrifice wallet, check the balance of it, and no coin has ever moved. So the accusation is already wrong. So that is another one. Number three, Richard became much more active on Twitter again, and this old persona of being in your face and taking credit for being right the vast majority of the time is back. So I get the feeling that he already knows from his lawyers that they're going to drop the charges, but usually they need to sign NDAs and things like that to the extent of, okay, we will drop the charges, but we being the SEC, we will tell, not you. So basically the change of attitude on Richard leads me to believe that he already knows that they will drop the charges against him. Do I have evidence of this? Can I prove any of this? No. So this has been something that I've mentioned many times. My dropping of the SEC charges has been vastly influenced by this circumstantial evidence, if you will. Okay, so I don't have any private or any insider tip on anything. Now, to be honest, now you ask me, oh, does that mean that the coins will pump like crazy? To be honest, I don't think so. The reason is very simple. When the SEC started to lose case after case after case after case, then the negative, the dark cloud of the SEC on top of the several communities being targeted becomes weaker and weaker. So that was my argument actually. It's like, I don't particularly like XRP. I don't like that Ripple dumps on the XRP people constantly. I don't like that XRP pretty much is seeming to try and copy more and more Ethereum. There are things that I don't like. But I always said, and I say it again, when it comes to crypto versus the SEC, we should all be in the same page. That is my opinion. I mean, I know that people really like this kind of tribalism and this me against you and him against the other. I think that is stupid. I think we're all here for the same reason. I think we're all here for an ecosystem to succeed. So to me, it makes zero sense to be fighting, particularly with entities that if they could get their way with, they would try to destroy you. So to me, so to be very clear about this RH matter, it's pure speculation on my side. We'll see. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe this will last 2 years. To be honest, I think, and as this continues like this, the SEC clout will have less and less impact, particularly if some of the other coins start winning their lawsuits as well. That will be positive for everyone. See, so I do hope that happens. And thank you for the question. So Ethereum is actually pumping quite aggressively. It's above $2,000 as I mentioned. Last time I checked, maybe it dropped a little bit, I don't know. But we crossed the 2,000 mark. The question is why? So for people who didn't pay attention, BlackRock has just filed a iShares trust. So that has led to believe that eventually that trust will be made into an ETF. So that is the rumor, that is the idea for the pump. Will it happen? Will it not happen? I don't know. Maybe, let me throw a guess out there, maybe the next stop, so basically we are now entering the bull market. We have a lot of bull market ahead. FYI, last 3 times this happened, altcoins, pretty much almost all of them, topped 12 to 15 months after the Bitcoin halving. Will it happen again? Who knows? It's anybody's guess. Just saying, last 3 times, between 12 and 15 months was the top. 12 to 15 months after the Bitcoin halving was the top for the altcoin market. Okay? And I do think altcoins offer better risk reward, in my opinion, for at least generational wealth. However, it's much more trickier. And you do have the great majority of things out there are scams. But if you're actually a bit seasoned in the space, I do think the opportunities may come from there. Now, Ethereum is about to go its third cycle curse. Why is it called a third cycle curse? It's very simple. First cycle coins, they go up and up and up and up, and nobody really knows where they're going to stop. And a lot of people accumulate a lot of regrets. When it eventually tops, and then it goes down, people think, crap, I should have sold there, now I'm down 70%, I could have sold, maybe I will hold a bit longer, and then once it goes up, I sell, but all of a sudden it's down 90%, blah, blah, blah. So second time around, people remember what happened the first time, so this time, less people make that mistake. So they start selling earlier, which caps the gains to some extent. And by the third cycle, you have this effect on steroids. But going back to Ethereum and this filing by BlackRock of the iShares Ethereum Trust, I get a feeling, this is a funny feeling once again, speculation, eventually we'll need to start looking for top signs. Will it be US Circle, that owns USDC IPO? Will that be the top of the next cycle? Will it be an Ethereum ETF, the next top of the cycle? I lean towards the Ethereum ETF a bit more. Okay? Does it mean it's going to happen? No, of course it doesn't. But people tend to forget that the top of Bitcoin 2017 was the Bitcoin futures launching. It was actually on the day. And in April 2021, you had, of course, the Coinbase IPO. Then a lot of people decided to buy Bitcoin on leverage and pushed a slightly higher high, 69,000. 69,000 to 65,000 during the Coinbase IPO is a 6% gain. Got everybody long, proceeded to drop, and we entered the bear market, and let me say, a very vicious bear market. So it's also important. I get the excitement. I get the green candles are coming. Some of my coins were up 100% plus in the past few weeks. You have Chainlink, another coin that I've liked quite a bit because they do solve the issue of interchain operability, which I think is going to be very important for the future. And I get the excitement. We're going to get there, but still people are still a bit cautious. So that tells me that we are still quite far away from the top. But when you start seeing people excited, completely crazy, euphoric, this time is different. Millions coming. If the $6 to $15 trillion really come with institutional money, then all bets are off, in my opinion. Anything can happen. But it's important that you also try to maintain a cool head and to understand that the same top signals that we've seen in previous cycles that tricked everybody want to get long and basically get destroyed in the way down, those will happen once again. And the funny thing is, one thing is when you look at history and say, oh yeah, there's the top signal, there's the bottom signals, these things go down 85%, 95, altcoins go down up to 98, 99, blah, blah, blah. One thing is to see it, the other thing is to live it. And you say, oh yeah, look, people paying $1 million for pictures of dogs, of monkeys. People paying millions of dollars for coins with a picture of a different dog. These are all top signals. Oh, Coinbase is going to do an IPO, and this will mean that everybody will buy crypto now. So these kind of things, they are all very clear, top signals. But when you are living it, it's harder. So it's important to also start thinking where things are still fairly quiet. Well, very good for the legacy world, but quiet for the crypto world, to also start to think about upcoming potential tops and what to look for when the time is right. Hey, it's Latin. Thank you for joining. Guys, don't forget, drop that like and subscribe if you join later the live stream or you watch it on replay. Don't forget to drop the like and subscribe. Drop me a few comments if you'd like me to address something in a video over the next few days. We've been going for a bit more than half an hour. I would like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank you all for pushing us above the 720 subscribers in a short period of time. I really like to thank all of you for being here. Really appreciate all of you and the support. And I'll catch you in the next one.